guess I could have introduced him.
That Shadow. I use Uncle Ed, and Jacob goes by his real name.
That's my first mistake.
Well, today we have a topic, and I want to thank Bruce for throwing the topic out there, and I'll let him introduce it.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so
it's a certain implication. You have one.
So today's topic is a brain drain. I'm not talking about taking drugs. I'm talking.
That's
I prepped
brain,
the wrong way.
That's brain addition.
Yeah, brain addiction. I'm talking about getting educated in our wonderful university system in our state, like LSU, like UL, and like Natchitoches, Northwestern, and the getting educated, getting a degree, and then moving away to Texas, Oklahoma, points
God
east
forbid
and west,
Kentucky.
wherever, Kentucky, and working there professionally, living there and working there professionally from the education an individual gets in the state of Louisiana that we as taxpayers pay for.
Okay, so the bottom line is then that they are defined. This was my original question because I read that article a long time ago and didn't get into the subtext. But they define brain drain as a college education person who took their knowledge that they got here and left with that knowledge.
Correct.
As opposed to, say, a person like you and a young professional who's creative and contributing, who says, I can't take it anymore, I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is as big a brain drain as the academically educated. But I see their point is that we're paying to make these guys functional in another society. Is that where we go, Bruce? Is that the bottom line here?
Yeah, the bottom line and the little twist in the article, and this is from an article that I read for our wonderful news program yesterday about Lafayette bucking the brain drain trend. Whereas the twist is that other individuals who are being educated elsewhere in the state are making professional choices to come to Lafayette to work and
so
live.
Cool. Oh, man, we're cool here.
Yeah,
Lafayette
we're
is
real
cool. I'm saying this real soft, like you get into your subconscious. Lafayette is cool.
So you want some figures?
Please.
No math, no figures. Nobody wants to listen to that.
No stats.
Say stuff like a lot of people believe this, but no statistics at all. That's not that kind of program.
I did immediately when he read me
Truly
the gist of the article earlier. I said,
I
didn't believe it.
No numbers. We want to say lots of people get educated here and they hit the road.
But apparently the gist is that within the state we have. Is this interstate or intrastate?
This is Lafayette is attracting
some
people
talent.
who get their education in the state to come here. They're leaving their hometown, but Louisiana retains them by virtue of Lafayette's awesomeness. It doesn't address the fact that a lot of people. Well, it does address. It says, in fact, a lot of people are leaving out of hand and going to almost anywhere else, and a lot of oil field has to do with that.
Sure.
And
what are the main fields? What professions are we attracting? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm engineering.
Okay.
Everybody who's getting an engineering degree at either UL or LSU or whatever are being pulled in or being recruited or trying to be recruited by the companies that work here that are primarily oil field research. It runs the gamut of engineers, chemists, biologists.
medical stuff.
Anything that has to do with...
That's our biggest industry.
Medical's becoming our biggest industry.
Medical is anything that has to do with research as far as the oil field goes.
Number 4.
Wow. Yeah, medical is number 1.
Yeah, and oil is 4. And we're
As
still,
far as-
we're still
that
waiting
high.
for it to come back. Of course, it's not going
And
to.
as far as business opportunities go, medical is number 1. I believe. As professional opportunities go, job opportunities go, medical is number 1.
That's because there's so much insurance money in it that people. It's like a trough of money to wallow around in for the medical, pharmaceutical, insurance fields.
That's an aspect of it, but I don't think that's the main driver. The main driver is just people need medical care. And so, there's money in it, but that money certainly doesn't seem to be trickling down much to the workers. You got a lot of people working as RNs or just nurses or, aides or home health. I mean, especially home health. These people aren't making anything, man. I mean, you got people with multiple years of college going in making less than $20 an hour.
Way less. If they're in home health care, they're probably making way less.
Yeah.
But people have to work.
Let's talk about this brain drain, or the people that are leaving the state. The one that when he ran for mayor many years ago, Joey Durrell was big on saving people leaving Lafayette. We've got to keep people home. We want our children to grow up here, yada yada. Why are they leaving? Well, obviously the oil field coming unglued around here has a lot to do with it, and I think the oil field was going to leave here regardless. It's easier to manage from one spot than it is from a bunch. You didn't need people on the ground here. You needed labor. And they can get it cheaper somewhere else right now. At some time, our oil may become back in vogue at a profitable rate. But
I don't
think it will.
They may, drill some more in the Gulf. I mean, they may come and,
find
create
another
new
way.
wells. It ain't going to bring back the kind of work we ever had. Not historically.
So those people are going to leave, and then the next. I guess what I'm trying to mumble out here is that people are going to go where the jobs are. What we have to figure out how to do here is to create jobs here that people want to take. That people want to have. And right now it's hard to do because we don't, unless you want to get into the medical field. What are we offering? Why would you come here?
Right.
Food's good, music's good, weather's medium.
So it goes beyond just a paycheck and
well, heck yeah.
It just goes beyond that. I mean, we offer. I think Lafayette and Acadiana offers a lot.
Moving doesn't. I mean, at the end of the day, there are lots of considerations, but the number one is pay. Am I going to be able to get paid in this place?
Correct.
That's true to the first third of the people in the market for jobs. It's all about paying, nothing else. And then the middle third, they have a little cushion and they want sort of an educational opportunity for their kids. And then the other people don't give a shit. They want the perfect house.
Well, and some people can work from anywhere on Earth.
I say a third. It's not a third. Yeah,
but sure, yeah.
That's all. We talked about this a long time ago. This is all part of what we call work. It's going to have to change because you can earn a living in Lafayette and not make a penny from Lafayette at all and live large here just by this thing in front of you and a telephone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways that could happen. So your brain drain, going back to the topic for whatever reason, I don't know if we ever stick to a topic this long or not, but I think people are leaving here for a whole variety of reasons, and what we're trying to save them with is not going to save them. We're not going to save them by, I don't want to rant too much, but we're neglecting our schools.
We're not going to save them we're not going to save them with the past. We need to save them with the industries of the future, which exist, which are software and tech and green technologies. Yeah. I mean, that's the reality.
Well, a very valid picture of what the future holds for them if they move to the Acadiana area. Yeah. They have to, obviously it's the professional world and the paycheck that invites them here and they get interested about coming here. But then again, it's everything else that Acadiana has to offer culturally too.
Sure.
And
that's one thing we've got in spades. We got a lot of culture.
Because people want a community. Whether they realize it or not, yes, the job and the advancement in that particular profession or that particular company is paramount. Am I going to get paid what I'm worth? And then am I going to have opportunities for advancement? Mm-hmm. Okay, because if I'm going to make that move from New Orleans or, Alexandria to Lafayette, if I'm going to make that move professionally, is this going to be permanent? Am I going to have enough here to keep me here for, a good majority of my life or...
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is, what is it going to mean for my life? What am I going to do with my time when I'm not working? Is there stuff to do? Right. And there is a lot to do.
There is.
It's just, at the end of the day, I think it's we can't set about trying to attract. I think we have to just be attractive. We have to do attractive things. You know, it's like with getting a date. You can't, it's hard to go out and say, hey, want to go out with me? Want to go out with me? But if you're doing fun stuff, there might just be attractive people nearby that you end up doing stuff with, and then it's like, hey, want to go out on a date? Now that we know we enjoy one another's time.
The way we approach this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, we just need to do the smart things, and
well,
those
the smart thing is one of the smart things is to have a downtown that's thriving, and that's beginning to happen.
Yeah, but we need more income, man. I mean, we
haters on that.
We do, we do, but we have 3 potential living spaces that are opening up in the next 6 months to a year. People are going to actually be living down here, and if you have people living down here,
well, people that don't have you have people living down here, but they're either very wealthy because the lofts around here aren't cheap, or they're very poor and they're passing. They live, half a mile away or a quarter mile away. So I mean, it's going to be more mixed income individuals,
right?
But I mean that's I don't know. That brings about the real problem is the fact that we got over half the country living in poverty, man. I mean, that's just
some crazy numbers.
Yeah,
that's that on the split screen thing.
Oh my God, it's been on me. I'm sorry, y'all.
You switched a while ago. There you go. You
I completely forgot. I was so absorbed in what Bruce was saying, I didn't want anyone else to get to see him.
Yeah, that's passive
funny.
aggressive, man.
That's funny.
Movie star types, it's nothing but them they think about.
Just let's hear the voice, not the face. Well, you don't want to see my face.
So what about the funnies? You got the funnies on there?
The funnies?
Did you do the jumble yet? Tell me you didn't write in the jumble. I don't like it if you ink the jumble.
No, I don't do that. And it's not in this section. It's in the living.
Well, on the topic of brain drain, there's another form of brain drain, like a really dumb shot in your own foot kind of brain drain that happens in the U.S., where we have students from around the world who come to our world-class universities and institutions, and they learn all sorts of things that we're talking about in the industries that we're talking about, tech and engineering, the industries of the future. And then what happens? Well, they can't stay because of our visa programs, and we kick them out. And so they want to stay with these smart things, making their big dollars, but we don't let them stay. They have to leave, and they go back to their countries. And what's happening is it's helping India. It's helping China. It's helping these places.
But look how much we could – there's so much opportunity that we turn away right here. Within a radius of a mile of here, there's probably 100 people with IQs in the mid-130s that are just completely wasted on drugs or hopelessness or abject forget-itness. All we have to do is help them and turn them into not just producers but creators and innovators. And, maybe they're a little shaky to be surgeons, but they can maybe they can say there's more to how we treat people than what we can extract from them in pure dollars.
Well, just the naked statistic of how much does it take to how much money does it cost society per homeless person right now? Over 100,000, well over 100, in some places as much as 300,000.
Crazy numbers. It's cheaper to give them a house.
How much do you pay? Yeah, how much are your bills a year? Yeah. It's just a ludicrous thing we do, neglecting these people, our people.
Aggressively so.
Yeah, aggressively neglecting. Yeah, that's a cool metal band name.
There's an argument to be made, and there's a whole lot of if you gave every homeless person a house, that wouldn't cure homelessness. There's a lot of things going on
totally.
Here. But the idea that people who would like to have at least privacy and shelter and protection from a storm, the most minor sense of dignity, like their own tent even. I'm talking, we should be able to provide that to everybody who needs it, if for nothing else, just to keep them out of the rain. We could run a water pipe that they all drank from the same water well.
Yeah.
And pooped into a giant septic tank. And they had a door and a window and a little hot stove to keep them warm. Literally, we can do that for $2,000 a person and just line them up all right out here. They're already sleeping on the ground over there.
But the disturbing thing to me is not that we can do that or that it's feasible to do that or that it might be economical to do that, but that we don't do it for like these. Why don't we do it?
We don't do it for really ignorant reasons. But the fact that it needs to be done is the real shame. We ought to fix the reasons. It's supposed to give them houses, which is feel good, but it's not going to change their lives. Well, it could.
But it would. I mean, that's the thing.
It could in some cases.
It wouldn't just change their lives. It would change the community.
Particularly if they could be clean and semi-healthy.
And they have these low barrier places where they build a bunch of tiny houses, and they have medical care nearby, and these erstwhile homeless folks are able to live a life.
That's kind of where some of this thinking's coming from. I watched a thing last night.
Okay.
But along with Habitat for Humanity, there needs to be humanity teaching for humanity.
They do
there are organizations out there that take people who are disadvantaged and trying to give them a labor skill or teaching, so that they can go out and find the jobs that they need. So
we've got a volunteer. I'll give a shout out to Linda Longclose. She's real big on getting people
escape from poverty.
Escape from poverty is the name of her program, and she's self-initiated.
Is that locally?
It's a real deal.
It's in Louisiana. Yes, it is locally, but she's expanded. I mean, she's in a lot of local areas.
She's one of those people that if you believe in God, He sent her to do good things.
And she is really grateful for AOC as a launching pad. Every time I see her, she's saying, we started here. This was nothing before we were able to get started with the help of AOC. Yeah,
good for public community media and for us in particular.
Yeah.
So,
but look at the good that it's doing. That's the bottom line. Yes. Look at the good that it's doing. So there are people out there that have the resources.
But let's look at the bad that it's preventing. I think that's the way we need to go. If people are so easily manipulable by fear, let's use fear. It's like what Dr. King was saying at the end of his life. When he had turned his gaze more from just the black community to the poor community at large. Yeah. And he has a line about, I don't think that they are understanding us. Maybe they will understand violence. That was where it was turning. Yeah. It was going to have to become violent. Maybe they'll understand fear, because isn't it scarier having these people? What really baffles me, Ed, is that there aren't more of these people with these high IQs that are getting together and starting smart gangs that come and kill and steal from rich people. If I was homeless, boy, it wouldn't take long. It would not take long for me to start planning on killing rich people and taking their things. That
you're talking about.
So that means that most of these people are really the kind of people we want to help, because they're not already doing that.
Yeah, they're living in anarchy. They can't get together to do anything.
But they don't want to. I mean, that's not where they're at in their hearts. They're not the kind of people that want to go and hurt others. Yes, they could hurt other people, and they're not. They're just sleeping in misery and living in delusion, on the streets, and just sadness and, as we say, just abject despair.
Right, but you have to sometimes look at a case-by-case situation. I mean, you can't generalize and say that.
Well, you can do both.
Yeah. You can generalize for sure, but there are very different reasons for different people.
Right.
But overwhelmingly, they have mental health issues that are unmet. I mean, that is the vast majority of homeless. Hell, I would go as high as 90%. Let's look at the numbers. But these are people who have unmet
being
mental
homeless
needs.
Will give you mental issues. It'll make you worry about a lot of things if you're homeless. Just a matter of having to sustain life with no home will make you think differently than what the rest of us do. It's your lizard brain comes to the fore.
Yeah.
But mental health, we could at least, I protect them from the elements and feed them at the least with a shred of dignity, so that all of that seems to me that would be so easy, because we're doing it with this patchwork of do-goody, places that are ill-prepared that want to try, and places that are very prepared and only do it for the money, and everything in between.
But see, the thing is that
we're still away food.
We're still on the grain of let's do it for feel good. Let's do it because it's the right thing to do. That's the funny thing. I talk to a lot of Christians who are completely against spending public dollars on things like this, and it's because of the feel-good thing. It's because, that's what charity's for. That's not what government's for. Okay, what's government for then? Is it for keeping us safe? Is it for making sure that the roads work? Because this is the exact same thing. Don't talk about it from a place of it's the right thing to do. Talk about it as not doing it is scary. Not doing it is very dangerous for little Tommy and little Jane.
Oh yeah,
that's the whole thing.
It leads to what you're mentioning, that the riots or the subversion becomes violent, and those who have nothing are going to come and get it. And this reminds me of something that popped into my head yesterday, maybe as a forecast to use this today. It happened a couple of years ago. It made the national news because of what the woman said, but the video cuts in, and turns out little Junior was shot as he jumped through the window of a house trying to get in to steal some clothes. Homeowner Harry thought he had the right to shoot Trayvon because he jumped through the window. Here's Trayvon's mother. Trayvon's mother says, how else is he supposed to get his things? And then, of course, they cut away. And the implication was being, these black people justify it. Like, well, what else is he going to do to get things? Like, he doesn't know how to get a job or something? Well, no, he doesn't. And he doesn't have anything to get a job to model on. The nearest possible job is probably 2 miles from his house with no transportation. And to get it, he's got to get there, and he doesn't know if it's going to be a job to get when he gets there.
And when he gets
these kind of obstacles that people don't understand. That's why.
And then he gets it and works 80 hours for 2 weeks and makes $700.
This is very much why this woman is absolutely correct. My kid's got to have clothes. He's got to. How else is he going to get it if he doesn't take it from where it is? This is survival now. He has nothing to trade. He needs food. How else is he going to get it? It's a legitimate question in her mind, and I can see where that's coming from.
Yeah, and that is a failure of our institutions.
And you were talking earlier about fear, and fear as a motivator.
Oh hell yeah!
And I understand that to a point, but then to cite another example, a few years back in Baton Rouge, the church, when I lived there, the church I belonged to, a college student who was a member of the church went out one Halloween Eve, walked up the steps of a house he thought there was a party. There's a gentleman in the house who didn't know, who thought he was an intruder.
Oh, yikes.
Killed him.
Shot him.
Shot him, and and killed him.
Yikes.
Sure. Remember that very well.
And the church went totally to bat for the family, and was trying to bring an awareness to the general public that this is not the right thing to do. That you have to you want to make your family safe and you want to be safe yourself, but you have to understand that the evil doesn't lurk around every corner.
Yes.
But the same source of that information, that very same source of your statement, immediately before you said it, said people around the corner are hoping to take your stuff. If they don't look like you, they're going to take your job. You're going to lose your freedoms. They're going to rape your wife. Now, now to Bruce, you got to love one another, man. Everybody's chill. And those people, there's a lot of people that don't get that.
I understand.
You can get some of what you give, too. We have created an animosity amongst ourselves that creates more animosity. We could create, well, you were there. There was this feeling of love in the air. I know it's the summer of love sounds weird and everything, but everybody was kind of chill, even though they were having riots over social issues. They did it for passion as opposed to for anger.
Even though Kent State happened, which is being made into a major motion picture, by the way.
Really?
I was in basic training, and then Kent State happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was wild applause when they announced it to our company.
Wow.
Everybody thought it was awesome. We killed him, motherfucker.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, what is all that based on? Is all that based on ignorance and fear?
Well, it's based on otherization and dehumanization. It's based on not seeing a human as a human.
Right.
And especially a human who doesn't comport with your ideals.
But these were National Guard guys, same age as the people they gunned down, same age or younger.
But they don't see themselves as similar. They see themselves as other.
No, they're in a uniform. They have a rifle.
Yeah, we're in this thing.
They're empowered.
You're not. You're against
these
us.
guys. And these guys are out there on the campus with just a banner, or nothing, and shouting slogans or whatever. They've got their uniform and their weapons, and that's when shit happens. And it's unfortunate, but again, it's based on, like you said, dehumanization. And trying to break down the barriers. How do we do that? We have to do that.
Yeah,
don't you think?
I mean, I think the way to do it is the way that it's happening. It's happening. I mean, the thing is, when we talk about progress, we cannot forget that we're progress. And all the troglodytes that we think are backward, they're all a part of the progress of humanity. Those troglodytes, even being recognized as troglodytes, is such insane progress. The idea that prejudice is now even a thing we aspire to rise above, that is such insane progress. Prejudice is so inborn in,
so you're
in
saying
who we
the
are.
fact that we brought it back to the fore, it was not as subdued as we thought it was 5 years ago.
Yes.
People were that angry, that afraid. We just made it legit, turned up the heat.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's in the air. Everybody knows. We're all feeling something. We all got an itch. It's just we're scratching at different places. But I mean, humanity is on a good track. We just can't be so fearful that we make a bad move. We just have to keep making good moves. And if that means moving the king back and forth while we wait, for a turn or two. I mean, the bad move. Oh man. I mean, I can't help. That you see the study where it says that now in the U.S. talking about politics and talking about Trump are indistinguishable.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well,
bingled. That's
right.
That's
so
a lot bigger problem than people realize.
It's my fault for bringing it up then, but if you're not sure exactly when this episode takes place, it's just after they voted in the Senate impeachment trial, or rather the Senate trial after Trump's impeachment, to not allow any witnesses. Monica Lewinsky comes out with a video. I wish they hadn't had me talk, because that seems a little less important.
The whole
charade
you're saying the
of our
vote
trial
took place?
Yeah. There will be no witnesses.
We don't need any witnesses. And the same complaint, the very same complaint by the very same person says, well, they didn't give us any witnesses. They didn't bring us anything new.
So
we don't allow
acquitted.
anything.
He
will be. He'll be acquitted by the
be
time
acquitted
you get home
anyway.
tonight. Yeah.
But I mean, at least more witness testimony would have been more.
This marks the
Especially
beginning.
on the fire.
Especially Bolton.
Yeah, well,
this is the beginning of the anything goes era. Between now and November, he will be free, literally, to do anything he wants. He's got him cowering in fear now. He's completely, in his mind, completely exonerated. The fact that they didn't nail him means he didn't do it. He didn't see what we see at all. And those criminals that voted for him, and yes, I say criminals, they are going to be outed by the continuing trickle of more left parness and Bolton. More people are going to write books. The Democrats in the House might come back with another subpoena or two. And for the next 10 months, the Republicans that voted to let this go this way are going to be, if the Democrats have any brains at all, they are going to be beat to death with the evidence proving how.
But it won't affect the vote. Nothing in this vein will affect the vote in November. Nothing.
So you're
the
saying
only thing that will affect the vote are issues that aren't Trump.
I think we talk about that your senator is a criminal, even though he supported your guy.
You don't. You leave it be. We never should have sent the friggin' articles to the Senate. It's just Democrats bad at playing a game they just learned.
I think we had to
It's like playing gin rummy, and you still don't know what a book
is.
Yeah,
but that's how the procedure worked.
No, you didn't. No, you did not have to do. How does the procedure work to install a Supreme Court justice? Come on, guys. How does that work? It seems to work by the delight of the Senate Majority Leader.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have Merrick Garland.
And we wouldn't have this charade of
a right-winger, by the way.
Right.
Just less right-wing.
But that's
we would have hated him 20 years ago.
That was Obama's choice, right? Merrick Garland.
Well, yeah, it was his choice, but he didn't get to.
He didn't get to make his choice.
He didn't get to, right, because they didn't. Because McConnell and his cronies didn't allow it.
Because he used procedure. Yeah, why couldn't Pelosi use procedure? Oh, well, she did kinda. She used it for a couple weeks so that this trial would take place during the Iowa caucus.
You're saying the Dems don't have the backbone, but
I'm saying they don't have the will.
I don't think they have a strategy. I don't think they're coherent.
Their strategy is 2024. That's what their strategy is. They're hoping to God that Bernie doesn't become the nominee because he'll win. That's the strategy. The strategy is 4 more years of this, and boy, we're going to raise so much money for the DSCC and the DCCC. We are going to have so much money, and boy, 2024, there will never be another Republican president after 2024.
Well, if this keeps
There's
on
never
going,
going to be another America.
What,
So you
what
really,
makes them think there'll be elections if
you
we
really
go
think
that
this clown is a two-term?
Well, he will be if honestly, dude. I mean, if I were to bet on it, I would bet either Bernie beats him or he beats somebody else. I don't see any. We're not going to elect a woman. We're not going to elect a Biden. We are either going to elect a radical or we're going to elect a radical. That's where we are right now.
I agree if the nation was voting, but you got to pay attention, and this is where Bernie has a problem. When you get to there's only 7 states that matter. Everything else is immaterial.
No. That's not true. That's not.
No, it's
bro,
true.
bro. You realize we're a swing state. You know that, right? We're a swing state.
We technically would be a swing state if there was a 1,000,000,000 to 1 chance we wouldn't be solid red. If we go with the reality on the ground, the math works out to the states that matter, and the rest of us
those states are
fall
only swing
away.
states if it's a Biden or a Hillary. It changes. It completely changes if you have an independent runner.
That's why
look at the states that were up in play with Perot.
That's why
what you got to do.
That's why Bernie's in trouble. He doesn't do well in those states. He does well in the other states.
He does well. Yes.
He's doing okay in Ohio because he's there every day. But in Ohio next door,
you're stuck in the board. The chess game that the Democrats think they're playing that isn't the game where we talk about Trump and we lose. That's not the game. The game is there are states that aren't even considered swing states because the Democrats have seeded them that Bernie won't seed, that Bernie will be winning.
I hear you loud and clear.
All he needs is 277. He can get that.
The Dems think that, well, fuck Louisiana and everywhere in the South, they're not going to vote for our candidate.
They're not going to try to win them.
Yeah,
they're not going to try to win Kentucky.
Put advertising or power. Or money even into those states they know they're going to not win anyways. They're
as soon as some of these
lose.
Pissed off Trump voters get wind that the Democratic nominee is actually an independent, that will change people's. You will have people vote. I know a bunch of foolish friends who voted Trump who would have voted Bernie.
Oh, I agree.
Literally. They just want to tell the system, F you.
Your statement that they're going to vote for radical one or the other, I agree with that too. I just think that the strategy that works in the end of the day is not what the nation wants or the majority of us want, but what happens down in it. You read some of this. I read a lot of it, and maybe I'm paranoid, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but it's down to a couple of neighborhoods and a couple precincts that are in play that can shift a whole state, that gives away the whole electoral college because that precinct swung the state.
It can be targeted in that
it's
way.
It's almost that minute.
But so who plays that? Who plays that game?
The Republicans.
No.
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
Obama played the game, and then Trump played the game.
Well,
but I'll tell you who plays that game. Wonks. People who give a care. People who have ground games. Obama had a ground game. Bernie has a ground game. Bernie had the ground game in 2016 to win.
Good ground game. That's one of his strengths.
Because it's 6 years old. Because they've been doing this now for 6 years.
Yeah, that's true.
They've been building it up. Right. There's no way that Bernie loses to Trump, and there's no way that Trump loses to Biden. And that's where we're at. I mean, that's just we're angry, and we want to vote for the none of the above. The none of the above is Trump unless it's Bernie. That's the reality, man.
You don't think Warren has a chance?
No, of course not. No.
I think she does, though.
No, she doesn't. Both in the primary and in the general, she doesn't. No, she has a chance in Connecticut or wherever the heck. Where is she a senator of?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Yeah, and she might carry Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just a whole bunch of goofiness. So the fact that California doesn't matter in the presidential election, the most populous state, it shows you it's just a weird system that has.
In Iowa and New Hampshire set the precedent for the whole thing. From here on out, once those two pick our leaders, by virtue of being the leader, they get 80% of the coverage, period. You're the leader, you get the bulk of the coverage. Everybody else shares it, and that's that from here on out. So the only thing you can do is use your little bit of free media to take over the lead.
But it's funny because that kind of brings it to a different discussion, but it's a really important discussion. In the 70s, when the Democratic Party in Iowa decided that they were going to go before Super Tuesday, way before. They were going to have their primary, or rather their caucus, way before everybody else. They literally wrote a check, a tens, hundreds of $1 million check to their state for the future, just by choosing to move that primary. Because now what happens? We shovel tens of millions of dollars a year into that state, in all sorts of ways, mainly in ad revenue, mainly buying, big ad buys. But it's not
hotel
just
hotel room nights.
Yep, hotel. All of these things. They literally, I don't think they did that with that, bald of an idea in mind. But that's what it is. I mean, it's and so that's the thing. Why does it work that way? Well, it's just with progress, man. We're just stumbling slowly forward, drunkenly in the dark. But we know the door is that way. We can see the little light under the door.
That's not a light, man.
Oh God, it's fire.
That's the FBI spying on you. That's evil, evil, evil.
Don't touch the doorknob. It's hot.
That's evil.
Yeah.
Look away. Look away. But I'm still gonna come out with my hope, man.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I don't have a choice.
I prefer fear. No, I think they're both delusive, but
I
useful.
think fear can be used in a productive way, but I think hope, for me personally, is stronger and is going to get us somewhere.
I think it's going to get us dead. I think hope is the reason why the Greeks, that funny story about Pandora's box. When we opened Pandora's box, all of these terrible things come out, but at the very bottom, there was hope. And hope flew out too. Yeah, the Greeks knew hope was more cancerous than we realize. Hope was another one of those perils that came out of Pandora's box that we see as this. Just gonna no.
It's a false thing to chase.
It's a way to piss your energy away.
It's a false bottom.
We talk about this. We did this last show too. I mean, we were talking about. We have very similar thematics on this show, I think, at this point. But yeah, it's just a waste of your energy while you're hoping somebody else is working, somebody else is building habits, who is dedicated, who is consistent every day toward a goal.
But that's
hope ain't no goal.
Yeah, no. I'm not talking about just sitting there going, well, I have hope. I'm talking about sitting there saying, I have hope, and this is what I'm going to do.
He's trying to be an optimist. He wants his temperament to be optimism.
I'm optimistic.
But this is what I'm going to do to make it happen. This is what I'm going to do to make sure that
that's good. A plan of action is always good.
I'm not just sitting there going, oh well, I'm all happy and glad because I have hope. Woohoo! I mean,
the whole fear thing, though, that's first grade propaganda. That's. Did I send you? I know I sent you that podcast link. Says listen to this. It's The Great Hack, I think, or something.
Oh yeah.
Listen to that. Just listen to that, and you will be a little bit afraid of how minute the math works out. They literally, when I say down to a few precincts here and there, they can manipulate a few precincts in a couple of these important states and tip a whole state, and what we think is it's not what they teach you in school.
Yeah.
It happens. There's a system, yada yada. It's all legal. You're not going to change it, but it can be played to such the detriment of the people really having a vote that it's just astounding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the real thing, and we talk about all this.
The real reason you vote is to make noise, and you have to make noise.
Yeah.
You can't hope to be heard, but you got to make noise.
The real reason we vote is because we hope that it matters, and it probably not only in a non-swing state doesn't matter, but is actually not even. I think we've already had that coup, and we do have voting machines that are hacked, are subverted, give false information.
We talked about
that
this last
happens, and so it's going to happen. I mean, that's the real worry.
I totally agree.
So we don't even know who people are actually voting for.
Yeah, our system is not.
Especially in Louisiana, in the 17 odd states where there's zero paper trail.
I said something to the effect last week, and it's the truest thing you're ever going to hear from me is that if it's digital, it's not secure.
Yeah.
Period. Done.
Yeah.
And we know that. You guys know that. You live with that on a daily basis. Through here, knowing that. Is this going to leak out? Is somebody else?
I hope this podcast doesn't leak.
Yeah, well, I decided when I decided to do the podcast, it was into my political career, So I have committed to speaking my mind, whether it's
I've said some
proof that I have no mind or not.
Yeah. I think about that sometimes, and should I delete every post I've made on Facebook if I want to run? because I made a bunch of radical.
You can't. You're out there, man. You can't delete
you could go back. You could definitely go back and delete stuff if you're not yet in the public eye. Yeah, nobody's gonna. That's not on archive.org. That's not stored. I mean, it's stored on Facebook servers, but it's not necessarily findable.
You're considering politics?
Well, yeah, I consider politics every day, but
no. Considering being a part of.
What's the difference? Yeah.
Like running for an office?
Well, sure, why not? But my point is that I wouldn't go back and delete anything because I would love for some juicy thing. I mean, I've called for a lot of people to die, before on my Facebook and said that we should use violence and all this stuff. I'm surprised I never got a knock on the door, honestly. And
they sent me to watch you. Oh, no.
I think it's because I'm.
Hey, watch out! I could be a plant.
I think it's actually because we're not.
I could be a plant.
Nobody's taking this seriously.
Yeah,
nobody's paying attention or taking this very seriously.
I wouldn't want to delete any of the things that I've never deleted a post. I deleted one post one time that somebody else posted porn on my Facebook on my wall. Yeah, and somebody told me like 2 days later, because I never get on Facebook, like, hey man, there's like a hardcore porn on your wall, and so I went and deleted those two. I've never deleted anything I've written. Because it's that's who I was then, and I'm a lot of the same cells, molecules. I'm not the same dude.
That's the right way to think, to be a whole person. But at the end of the day, you're setting yourself up to be crucified over something later, even though you're not that person at all.
Well, but is that true, Ed? Is that true? Because that's what we said about Trump. I remember in October 4 years ago when we were downtown at Downtown Alive with the board, showing people stuff, and you came up to me and you were like, man, did you hear this grabber by the pussy line? He's sunk. No, he just got more votes. He just got more people paying attention. He got more coverage, and that's what it is. You can use it one way or you can use it the other. It's the tool.
He was better controlling his narrative than 99.9% of the people.
I was like you, Ed. I was walking around saying, there's no effing way this guy's getting.
But it's not about controlling.
I thought when he made fun of the disabled guy would be the end of it.
But it's not about. Well, I mean, Biden gets into that territory too. But it's not about controlling the narrative. It's about knowing that the narrative helps. It's about knowing that my name is in your mouth.
Well,
so
he played the narrative rather than that semantics.
He wasn't played by it.
But most people who do what you and I are doing now create a paper trail of things that are not representative of where we will be in 20 years or 30 or 40. Mm-hmm. You're going to be liable for what you said 40 years ago, whether it's true, whether it's a factor, whether it's anything. And I think that's wrong. I think I think you should look at the arch of a person, and particularly a person who was perhaps a hardcore bigot when he was 18 and is now an activist at 70. And I wasn't a bigot. I wasn't even a racist. I was unaware.
Yeah.
But I used the N-word because everybody did. Mm-hmm. I never paid any attention, so I could be easily classified because I was born in the South, raised in the South, white privilege, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not that person at all, but I was then.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be judged on that, but I certainly could be, and I can't say, well, that wasn't me.
So there's a podcast called "Are You Racist?"
Oh yeah, this one.
They bring people in and they talk about anything that has to do with, I did this or I said this. Does that mean I'm racist?
Yeah. See, that sounds so stupid. Because the idea is we're all racist. We're all prejudiced. This woke culture.
Self-preservation is number one.
Oh my God! It's all just a bunch of people pretending. That what we need is to admit that we do make snap judgments and that we need to avoid relying on them.
Yeah, we have to mature our responses.
Yes, man. Yeah. We're all going to have prejudice. We're all going to have preconceptions. What we have to do is know that there are ways to use thought critically to come to truth.
Right.
And that's how come people need to talk to other people and learn about how do I learn to respond to people that would normally in one way, shape, or other repulse me or make me afraid, or make me timid or uncertain. People, when I was in a retail business, people come in the front door. Sometimes I'd go stand by the register. Sometimes I'd go stand by the expensive gear. Sometimes I'd go stand by the door. Sometimes I'd walk off the floor and tell them to wave away if they left. It just depended on what they looked like. Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with what they look. Oh, this old woman looks like she's a shoplifter. and I was what do you call it? Profiled every person that came in the door.
Sure.
Every single one of them. I had a buzzer that, depending on how many beeps you got, it went from a shoplifter to a super hot girl coming in the door. So the people in the back could hear the buzzer. They were all back. The whole staff is in the back going. We didn't have cameras or anything. So you're standing up front and somebody's coming.
They all start walking around. Need some Cheetos.
Yeah, you need some help. You go beep 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 beep, and that's five people of a certain type walking at once. You're calling for help.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we,
but I made a decision a long time ago not to live in fear, not to walk down the street, see somebody else walking towards me, or feel somebody behind me, and be, is this person after me? Is this just?
I made a decision.
Just another person.
I made a decision long ago not to show fear.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get screwed.
Yeah,
I'm kind of situationally aware, but I don't.
Not to even put yourself in that mindset.
Yeah. I definitely feel fear. But, what we have to do is.
I mean,
when I think about having children, when I think about what it would mean to.
That's dread.
Geez, when I think about my dogs actually inside at home like I think they are, or did one of them get out? That's what I feel.
That's not fear.
Is that not fear? Fear of not being able to protect loved ones? That's one of the greatest fears. That's my greatest fear. And ignominy, amounting to nothing.
Making sure your family is safe. To me, it's not a fear.
That's my only fear.
It's a constant concern. It's not a fear. It's a constant concern.
No, man, it's a fear for me. It's a dread.
It's a concern, but I will tell you that I make sure every time I walk out of the house, if there's people in the house, that the house is locked.
I never lock my house. Now you can come steal my small amount of things, but
and where you live, and where you live, you should have M16s aiming out of the windows with fences and dogs.
I do have guns, but they're unlocked.
I don't know if I like that idea.
And that's not out of fear. That's out of security. It's just because if I leave,
I don't know. I'm not.
Well, self-preservation. If I leave and then somebody decides they want to bolt into the house, they won't be able to,
well, sure they will.
My house.
They want to get in your. My house is impregnable.
Security at my house is such a bogus.
It will slow them down.
Yeah, exactly.
Slow them down.
I think my house is secure.
No.
Yeah. I lock the house at night before I go to bed. I
lock everything. Cheryl locks the house. When I'll go to the grocery store. She'll lock the garage door. Put the garage. The sliding door down, lock the door to the house from the garage, put the bolt on that,
right,
and go. It's just insane.
Yeah.
Cheryl, all they got to do is go to that back door and knock the glass out, and they're right in here. That's one piece of glass as opposed to the garage door, the other door, the other.
No,
come on here.
But it's theater. It's how we feel. It makes us feel a certain way. Yeah, security.
And I understand that. I'm not immune to being worried about somebody jumping up on my wife while she's home or any of my loved ones. Those kind of things. Yeah. Also afraid of the drunk driver. I'm bad enough driver on my own right. What about that other guy who comes out and tags my friends or me or whatever?
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's where we should be most afraid is and most alert is driving. That's one of the most dangerous time of day for you is driving, except when you're making your choice on what to eat. That's
your most dangerous time of day. Yeah. Kill yourself quickly or kill yourself slowly.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's the thing. I think we should have the right fears, and I think we should not be governed by them, but informed by them.
That's why you have to have more sources of information, so you can make sure that people have the opportunity to instill, he calls it hope, optimism, alternative points of view. Assuage, is that a fancy word? Assuage your fears. Somehow you don't have to live in fear. You have to be situationally aware. You have to know what's dangerous.
Yes, that's so important, man.
Fear.
Everywhere. You need to not only be situationally aware, but broadcast that you are aware, because that's the other thing. That's how people mark
how you carry yourself is
right.
It's like I demonstrated last week. If you carry yourself correctly and you like you know what you're talking about, people believe any lie. Yeah. Like I was at Woodstock. I just said it like I meant it.
I tell people now, Ed was at Woodstock.
It has the same effect when you're walking around. You walk in front of a room.
I should tell people that.
It does.
And they'll go, oh, yeah, man. Who'd you see? Hendrix. Oh, yeah, man.
Sure. Got to tell them everything. They want to know the whole story.
I was on stage with Hendrix. Yeah, what were you doing?
I
Banging
was
some
Hendrix.
bongos.
Part of my story was that I walked through the field. You know, we didn't come down the road. Everybody else came down. We went through this field. There's about 50 of us kind of in a line. And we passed that pond where they were all swimming naked.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nobody was swimming
Saw
when we
that.
got there. And I have this whole thing laid out, and people are like, oh, man.
Well, you can take it, you've
And
got...
it's like, no. Oh,
But
no,
see,
I
you've
wasn't
got a
there.
visual.
Yeah, you were. You just told me you were. You were there, weren't you?
But
no,
you know,
I just
you
was
gotta-
lying to see if you'd believe me. No, you.
Well, you were there as far as I'm
You got
concerned.
the visual. You got the film to look at and go,
Well,
yeah,
that's
okay.
it, too.
Well,
It's what you visualize. It's your
and
reticular activated center
you
or whatever.
tell them all that stuff, and they
Yeah.
suck it right up. And that,
Yeah.
Well,
that's
once
all part
they've
of why.
seen it in their head, they
you're a good
believe it.
But that's also
storyteller,
very
but
much
that's-
why we have the political environment we have now. That people with no, they're willing to play by different rules than our society is built to play
Exactly.
by. And what is a fact no longer relevant? Ethics as we knew them are situational now, and situational ethics suit the person in power. There's no, they're not even faking giving a hoot about what the community thinks. Something like 78% of the people wanted witnesses. They blew past that like nothing. This is a different environment, and we have to change how we play the game. And if we're going to try to play it by bringing optimism to the fore, it starts with people like us being more optimistic and finding a way to share that. And,
But I don't think it's optimism. I mean, I think
well,
we
that's
need to have optimism. I think it
different
needs to
word.
be anger. We need to bring
want action,
anger
so
to
do
the
I.
fore.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
well,
what you can make people angry quick, and if you make them angry at the right things, they might vote right.
So
well,
is
be
that,
angry
is
that your
that
country's been
productive?
taken over by
That's not going to work,
53
Ed.
knuckleheads.
No, it's just
Productive
not it, man.
anger.
That's wonk. That's, you
Productive.
immediately shut the brain off of the people who you want to vote different.
You're right
Forward
about that,
thinking.
too.
Forward thinking anger. Forward.
You don't have to have it for the person who needs to do the forward thinking is the one who's going to inspire the anger. That's the thing. You gotta be
And that's what
making
you
them
were talking
angry at the
about,
right
Dr.
thing.
King.
You
Dr.
gotta
King was
prepare.
he was inspirational.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons Bernie's doing well is he's tapped people's anger and
Yeah,
throws
man.
it back at him, and
Yang
wants
too,
to-
man. Yang, some yanger.
he wants to bring down the man.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Yeah, I'm optimistic, man. I think this could be a really cool year. And if not, I'm pretty sure our species will last millions of years. It's just it could very likely experience
I don't
another
know about
bottleneck in the
Well, we're
next.
into a new normal, and I'm afraid what that new normal is going to be. But I'm kind of like a guy that goes to NASCAR. I feel bad saying so, but I hope there's a freaking giant wreck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it would be terrible to see, but I hope to see one.
Well, I mean, there will be.
And-
Yeah,
we're
will it be
gonna
in
see
our
a wreck,
lifetimes?
And, I just hope I'm behind the screen where the
I
motor
know.
engine flies into the crowd and knocks awesome.
I don't
I
think
hope the
there's
cable doesn't go
I don't want
out.
it to be me.
I don't think there's millions of years. I think it's much less than
Oh, yeah,
that.
things happen.
Millions of years for our species?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, now our species won't look like us in a couple 100,000 years. I mean, we're going to be like Morlocks and the Yellow Eye.
Yeah, I say our
But,
the next
right.
generation is going to have lizard skin and nostrils this big to breathe the
Right.
chunky air we have.
Right.
So,
Right.
I don't
as
know.
long as it's
Survival
all-
It's
of
been
the
fun, though.
fittest.
It's been a good run. Sort
For
of.
us,
Been a good run.
for the human
I'm checking
race.
out.
That's it, yeah.
Hey, you know what? I had a little brain drain just about now. How long have we been doing this?
I can't tell because of OBS, but I'm going to guess 46 minutes.
More than 30.
Yeah,
More than
yeah.
30. Oh,
it
more than
depends
30.
on when we started. We didn't start at 2.
Yes, when you finish depends on when you start. That is true. You heard it here.
That's something like the basketball coach who said that we'd probably win if we scored more points. That was his profundity the other day. And we actually had a coach here at UL that said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he meant it. He was like, he didn't say it in jest. He meant, I just figured this out. Something pretty consistent about this game. If
Madden
you score,
has a ton of those lines.
yeah.
When you carry the ball over the field goal line,
Yeah.
that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, John, what do you think the other team has to do? Well, they have to put the ball over the goal line.
Yeah,
And,
It's I listen to the sports guys in the morning. They fascinate me. They're absolutely encyclopedic about
Yes.
sports. They can go. Some of them can go 20 minutes without a break, as if they're talking to somebody, but apparently there's nobody there, and they carry on.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for people in radio, particularly talk radio. Even the
Oh,
ones I
yeah.
dislike. That's a hard job.
No
It's
kidding.
a
is.
technique and a style, and those people, whether you like it or not, are big influencers.
Yes.
Big
Yeah.
influencers
They
in
are.
their area.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Uncle Eddie signing out of Tune In next week. Jacob, if you wouldn't give us your because I'll type it on the thing.
I'm Jacob White, and you can reach me at jwhite@aocinc.org if you'd be interested in coming on the show
Bottom
or
of the-
in critiquing the show.
Look on the
or
bottom of the screen.
Tell us to
Yes.
stop doing the show. It'll be right over here, sort of.
Good point to mention something about donations, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you can donate to me. Remember, my house is unlocked, so just go ahead and set it on.
Go get something from his house and donate it to Goodwill. That's what we do here. Yeah,
Not my Nintendo, please.
He said donations.
I'm so far along in Diablo. Please don't take my Nintendo. Bruce, thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, man, a pleasure.
Yeah,
The Shadow.
Sorry.
And we call it Tune In next week when you should, because we're going to try to make this regular.
Tune in next week, and we'll have one more
You want to
viewer.
move this to Wednesday? Because you're out on Thursday. I'll let you catch your mom.
Let's try Wednesday next week.
Let's make it a normal, regular.
Okay, I'm into it.
Are you good on Wednesdays usually? Is that normally a good
Wednesday afternoon, yes. Wednesday evening, no. But
So
it's
there's no
usually
evening
afternoon.
For me. Evening for me starts at 3:30.
So now we're changing the name of the show. It's called the Hump Day Bump or something.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we've developed a huge audience calling it Tune In this week. You suppose he'll go with us? He will go with us when we change. Since people are watching.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Is that what we're calling?
That's it.
All right. Out of here, man.
Thanks, y'all.
Peace
Bye,
and
y'all.
love. Check the camera over there.